All right, I'd like to call this workshop for the West South Milwaukee School Board to order. Suzette, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Deal. Here. Mr. Keller.
Here.
Mrs. Carr. Here. Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Burns.
Present.
Mrs. Lee. Here. Mrs. Kaiser. Here. Mr. Sickett is on.
Aye. Here.
School showcases, which we're very excited about. So Dr. Ellison, you want to start us off?
I do. So thank you for that introduction. We do have several showcases that we're excited to see on tonight. We want to remind the community that we are aligning these showcases with our strategic plan goals. So one being life readiness through college and career preparation strategic plan goal. Learners will demonstrate their skills in content mastery, communication, collaboration, problem solving, self-direction, and academic mindset through a yearly public demonstration of learning that uses an outside agency as an authentic audience. And communication and community relations, strategic plan goal, our learners, families, student staff, and communities work together to achieve our shared vision and are proud to be a part of an innovative, highly engaging school district. We're excited tonight because we do have 3 schools who will be showcasing. We want to start with Pershing Elementary School Principal Alyssa Johnson. She has teacher Kelly Holtz, plus students LJ Carden and Henry Mulcahy. Did I say that right?
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. And they will what we will see is our 4th and 5th grade student name tag project and process. So we'll start with that school and then we'll introduce each one individually. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon, you're up.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening. Oh, Alyssa Johnson, principal of Pershing.
And I'm Nicole Alman, I'm the deeper learning coach at Pershing.
So today we have these amazing students coming to showcase their learning that they've already done this school year. But before we give it off to them, we just wanted to give you guys some of the things that we've been working on at Pershing, and then we'll let our kids talk. So last school year, it was really important for our school to revamp our vision. So we did this probably like 3 years ago. And so with the Longfellow community joining us, we wanted to make sure that it realigned to what we were wanting to refocus on for our Pershing vision. So as a team, as our whole staff community, we created Pershing aspires to create a safe, supportive community that builds on students' diverse experiences, supports their academic, social, and emotional growth, and empowers them to be compassionate, responsible, and productive members of the community. So everything that we do, along with our strategic plan, this is our vision for our work as we continue to move forward. So some of our goals this year. So for academics, plain and simple, we're focusing on small groups and using data to inform our small groups. As we continue we just know that's our biggest bang for our buck in that way. And so we just want to make sure that that is our focus throughout the whole year. In addition to that, we also gained our wonderful Longfellow community. And so for school culture, we're rebuilding all of our classrooms and team building with our new staff and students and families. And so making sure that everyone's feeling welcome. We also have Miss Frinzy, who is our school social worker, who's doing co-teaching with all of our classrooms this year. So that used to be like a separate prep time was SEL, and now it's co-teaching with all classroom teachers. So they've been working on that a lot this year. And then also Longfellow did an amazing job of having their own student climate team. And so we wanted to take that and bring that back to Pershing as well. And so we are in the process of working on that. So right now, for 4th and 5th graders, we're working on having at least 2 representatives per classroom to start building that student leadership team. And then along with family engagement, just like that, we're building all of our relationships with all of our Longfellow families as well. And so last week we had our PTA meeting, and so now we have co-presidents. So we have a new Longfellow family member who's going to be co-president with an existing Pershing parent as well. So we're really excited about that partnership. And then deeper learning.
Yeah, so our goal for deeper learning this year is to really expand on what we've been doing with project-based learning at Pershing. And one of those things is to really make sure our projects are aligned with a lot of our core content areas, not just taking one here and there, but really trying to combine it with math, reading and writing as we bridge the day. Another thing that's really important to us too is like the student voice and ownership in our projects. So that's something we're really trying to work on to make sure as we're building these ideas, bringing it to our students, trying to determine, what is their role in these projects? What do they like about it? How can we bring joy to these projects? Also, while kind of bringing in our academic content.
So over here, we have representatives of Holtz House over here. So we have Miss Kelly Holtz over here. We have Henry. We got LJ. We got Alejandro. And we have Anaria. And so we're going to let them take it away.
Hi, I am Kelly Holtz. I am the proud teacher of Holtz House. We are a 4th and 5th grade classroom at Pershing Elementary. We're going to be sharing with you a project that we do every year to really help students become engaged with the project-based learning process and what it looks like in 4th and 5th grade. So in the Name Take project, we explore the essential question, how can we as learners create high quality, beautiful work? Through this project, students make multiple iterations of a name take. They learn about what it means to critique each other's work. They learn about taking critiques in a positive way and using them to revise their work and lift the level of their work. And really the big goal is for students to see that the first time I do something is not my best try. And if I continue working, my work can be stellar. So I have my fabulous students with me that are going to share with you some different parts of the project.
What was the process for this project? The process for this project was we made our first draft and then we critiqued it and learned how to critique. And then we made our second draft and improved by using our critiques. And then we critiqued it again. And then we made our final draft and added color.
How do critiques help you? Critiques help me by making my words the same size and my letters more centered.
What changes did you make between your first and second draft? The changes I made between my first and second draft was mainly my lettering, because I noticed it was like off. They were like really clutched up. They were kind of swirly, slanted, going down, and I wanted to fix that. What changes did you make between your second and third draft? The changes I made between my second and third draft was my illustrations, because I didn't want people just knowing that what I drew was just something. I wanted people to know what I was like from just a small piece of paper.
How did you decide what to draw on your name tag? What I decided to draw on my name tag is to use the critiques to kind of help me like center and straighten my letters up, and like kind of using my illustrations, the critiques to help how many things I should draw, how many things I shouldn't. And how I actually came up with the idea was because when I was little, I used to get bullied a lot. So like I wanted to feel like if I felt sad like, or anything, I could just like say self-standing words to myself, or just put on my name tag and feel like I was just like myself, or like just like feel the energy off the paper just coming towards me.
How were you most, well, what are you most proud of? What are you most proud of? I'm most proud of learning to write my name in a different font, because it shows,
Oh, sure, honey.
because that it makes, or it shows that I can write my name in different ways.
And we put around some examples from other classmates, so hopefully you can see the process that they went through. We definitely have some fantastic final drafts that we ended up having. I thought they created some really great high quality work, and they have really been able to carry the idea of giving multiple tries, and your first try is not always your best, and it's been a really positive aspect of our learning community.
Yes.
I thought it was a gift. My name's Joseph.
The fifth grade Joseph might be upset with you if we do not get to take that home, so I'm sorry.
First, I'm a fourth grade teacher, so I'm totally still in this idea. Second, I can tell, like, I love this process, because I can tell from the beginning, I know your personalities. Like, I know you're a drawer, and I can tell you like cats, and you like those colors, and it's kind of cool how your personalities came out through your name tags. I thought it was interesting, you have Alejandro with a very long name, and LJ with two letters, and you still were able to fill your space in an appropriate way. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Ms. Carr.
So I'm curious, did you watch Austin's Butterfly at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
We did, Miss Carr.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, Mrs. Cole. So I just wanted to say that I think that, well, it's kind of a twofold. So how did you feel when during the process, when people were giving you feedback on your work and critiquing your work?
Does anyone want to answer? Okay, LJ, sure. You can take it away.
I disagreed with some, but anyway, but I did them and tried them anyway, and I realized that those critiques were actually really good.
You don't always have to take people's critiques, but when they're offered, you can listen to it and then you decide as the artist or as the writer, of course. Right. So where will this go from here? How will you use this now that you've got this wonderful skill, the iterations and maybe your teacher, how will you use this throughout the school year of giving critique feedback?
Anaria's ready to answer.
Because I would use to like I would probably do like something like where like you like when like someone's feeling down or something, like you can like use like kind words to cheer them up, and like I could kind of use this like if like someone's kind of like feeling down, like you just like maybe like kind of ask them to play or ask them about like what happened, and then like try to tell the teacher or like trying to like help them and solve the problem, but you always won't be able to solve the problem. You have to probably take it to a teacher.
I would say that we also probably use it a lot in math right now. We're doing long division, and that can be a doozy. So we are really, really working hard on staying positive and trying problems again. And it's okay if Ms. Holtz tells you you have to try a problem again from the start. And we've been working really hard on having that positive mindset, even when things are difficult.
I have a couple of questions. I always ask this question. What was the most fun part about this process?
Henry.
The most fun part of this process was that we learned to critique and to write our name in a different way and to show our work in different ways and do it again to make it look even better than the last.
And critiquing is a very important skill to have, because sometimes critiquing is seen as criticism versus trying to be helpful in helping with someone. So the skill of being able to critique someone else's work in a way that they are open and receptive to that information is a skill you'll need for the rest of your life. So I'm really glad to hear that you guys are doing that. So kind of the opposite of that, what was the most difficult part of this process?
Sure. LJ, why don't you share?
The most difficult part for this process is probably just eyeballing it and just going at it. Yeah, it's basically it.
And Aria, did you want to share what's most difficult for you?
And like another most difficult part was like trying not to use the same, like how you know how to write your name, but kind of just like trying to use a different one to use, like trying to write your name in a different type of font. Because I know like notice like some people try to do different fonts, but like at the same time they want to do the same font like as they know how to write their name.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I just wanted to very quickly, listening to you guys, I learned a lot of what could come out of this activity. The opportunity to have dialogue, to receive feedback, and to have some critical discussions seems to kind of really come out of this particular activity. And so I just want to commend you guys on your presentations. It takes a lot to come and talk to people that look like me and everybody else up here. It takes a lot, and you guys made it look very, very easy tonight. So shout out to your teacher, Ms. Holtz. Shout out. She's a little nicer today. She's a little meaner than-
He was insulting the Packers.
This was, so she's- And also Principal Johnson, thank you for having the kids here tonight.
Thank you so much for having us. I know. The blue hits us.
You think about it when it's
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah. I know, I'm a Rangers fan.
Can I get it?
Yes.
All right, we might need to do 2 rows. How are you? You know, it's going.
Very good. All right.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Great job.
You know, become a Bucks fan. That would be nice.
Mr. Becker, hear this? Become a Bucks fan. It'd be nice to me.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you. Thank you, Pershing.
I'm just sitting here with the computer. I'm not helping in any way. This is all you. You got this, okay?
Thank you again to the Pershing community for that wonderful showcase. We're gonna move right on to our next one.
So thank you, Team Mitchell, for being here tonight. We are excited to hear from students, and they are part of Team Chopstick Mountain with Team Melanie Facts. I'm struggling sometimes. Yeah, I'm getting better. So fifth grade, at a whole school community building unit leading into Mitchell Community Store project. So I happen to be a part of the community building activity at the beginning of the year. And so we're excited to hear from them tonight. So we're gonna turn it over to you.
Hello, school board. We are a fifth grade class from General Mitchell Elementary School. We had an idea to make a store for our school in which students from 4K through 5th grade can buy items from the store with the store tickets. We all have different jobs to make the school store come together. Jobs including reception, human resources management, warehouse, customer service, accounting, and sales. We started our process by brainstorming items that students may like. We considered all students and their interests. We then made posters that showed the items we had brainstormed earlier. During lunch, we passed out stickers for the Mitchell pilots to identify what piqued their interest on the posters. When we analyzed the data of the items that students wanted, we researched on Amazon for the items that the majority chose as well as their value. We considered the rating and the quantity for each purchase. With careful consideration, we calculated the amount we need to buy everything for the store. We invited Ms. Stolmark and other adults to a business meeting where we proposed a budget for the store. After sharing our plan, we were given the total amount we had asked for. Now that all of our products have been ordered, we are working to open our store. Thank you.
I just have to say, my son was supposed to be here presenting tonight, so you young ladies and young entrepreneurs did a really, really nice job. I love this when you're a community school store and that you got feedback from the community. And I've heard about this project along the way, so it's really cool to see little details that I didn't get recorded on at home. So take a good job.
Other questions?
So, are you trying to make a profit with the store?
Not really. It's just this thing we have called like store tickets, and you get them if you're good.
Can you guys like talk in them? I'm sorry, I have a vent that's like right out under me, so I can't hear most of what you're saying. If you guys just could talk in the microphone, you don't have to stand up, if you just talk more in the microphone, that'd be. Thank you.
There you go, Jojo points, there are sore points.
Oh, okay.
Good deal.
So when you guys were, how did you determine, like, I know you broke it down to figure out what people wanted. But how did you come up with the original list? Like, how did you determine like what to even put on there in terms of like then going to people and surveying, saying, what would you like to see in the store?
We made up ideas of what we thought like little kids would want, fifth grade, people like that, just like we had ideas to see what they wanted, like what we would think that we wanted, and we
Here it all is.
I think I missed it. Maybe I couldn't hear it. Why did you decide to come up with the idea of having a store?
I don't know really. Well, we only had a little amount of items because we had our own little class stores and we only had like probably 10 items and now we have more than like I think like over 30 items. Probably not 30, but or like 23 or something like that. And we are also making experiences for like if you want to be like principal of the day like that. And
How much did that cost?
we don't know that yet. I think we're gonna do 300. Earn a lot. I think we kind of did the school store so that like if you were good, you will be rewarded.
Okay, so expanding our classroom stores to a whole school store so that everyone may be able to benefit from it. And then expanding our offerings as well, so we don't just have a few things, we can have lots of things. That have really cool things like being principal today, which I never got to do that. Okay, all right. Anything else? What's that? Oh, my question's on the sharing. So in your guys' opinion, what was the most fun about this process that you did?
I think like figuring out like how much everything would cost.
Okay. So, thank you. And what was the hardest part?
Finding the items that students may like.
Oh, yeah.
That was yeah, brainstorming the items was probably like the hardest part, and I think that's like the hardest part that because all the little kids wanted different items, and we know more of fifth grade items, not kindergarten items. So I think that was like probably the hardest part.
Was there one item that somebody wanted that you just couldn't find?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
On everything, all right, so no one asked for like a porcupine or anything like that. Great. All right.
Did anyone ask for an item that was maybe too expensive and you had to say, nah, we can't do that?
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. There was a few like maybe not a lot, like 5 maybe.
Can I say yours?
Kind of like the LED gloves that we were going to get. It was really expensive. Like we got them, but we only got like 2 sets.
Yeah.
Brian, you have a question?
Yeah, I apologize if I missed this, but now that I see this sheet here, I see that, different students were assigned to different departments. How were you assigned to those departments? Did you get to kind of have some say based on things you were interested in, or how did that all come about?
We kind of just like raised our hand. And then we got picked for whatever item we raised our hand for.
Okay.
There was a certain amount of people that could be in one department, like 5, and I think one had 3, I think. So like a certain
The one had like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was human resources.
Thank you. You want to say? By yourselves.
Okay, what you have right now is like, what you have right now is basically all the stuff that we wanted to buy and the number of how much they cost and also how much products we're going to use. We all work together to create that sheet.
Still in this idea too.
I have another question.
Yeah.
How did you determine how many SOAR tickets would equal whatever item that you had? Did you figure out like one ticket equals like 5 cents value, or how did you figure it out?
At first we kind of just like made up it, but we're kind of we're more of trying to like actually hold the item in our hands now that we have some of it, like to see like how much it's like actually worth, because we wouldn't be able to see it at first. It's really really different when you like actually see it in your hand to see how much it is.
Or versus just seeing it online, you're saying?
Yes.
So does only one division determine that? Is it the sales division that's coming up with? what it's worth, or is it combined between accounting and customer service to determine how much you think that should be? My questions are getting too complex. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Warehouse, I think maybe other departments, warehouse is going to go where all the bins are, and maybe like hold them in our hand to see what like to see if it's like, for example, one was like $10 or $50 not dollars, tickets, and to see what if it actually should be worth 50 tickets.
Okay, and then we have like an evaluation period where something doesn't sell with your tickets over a certain amount of time, we like reduce, have a sale or something like that, and see if you can get it to sell that way. Is that something you guys have thought about?
No, we have.
I mean, I'm getting too in depth.
Can I ask a follow-up question? What item was your biggest seller?
Ooh, slime.
Slime.
Probably candy and stuff like that.
Candy and slime.
Candy and slime for definite.
Probably gonna be the most popular.
Yeah,
We actually.
but I think people are gonna be disappointed of how big they are. Not big.
Well, actually, we haven't actually sold anything.
Slime?
It's very
Tiny, it's like, it's very tiny.
we were she was expecting it to be like a little bit bigger than it was. When I saw on the website, it was a bucket, but then when it came, they were tiny little containers. Yeah.
It said it would have beads in it, but the beads came separate from the
Yeah.
slime, so we had to add them.
Hey, you're gonna have to, I'm gonna have to Google this tonight.
Slime it, someone with slime it.
Slime is for like stress relief. And it's very stretchy and squishy.
Yeah, did you see those?
It's colorful.
It's like,
It's goo.
do you know what
It's
putty
goo.
is?
It's like
Yeah,
goo.
it's basically,
What is
it's like
that?
putty, but much smoother.
And colorful.
It's more stretchy.
And you can have charms in it.
My other question is, which item will you discontinue or no longer sell? Is it-
LED gloves.
LED gloves, the LED gloves. Because they were probably like $10 each. Yeah, $10 each set.
Do you want to say something, honey? Go ahead.
We actually haven't started the school store yet.
Yeah, we haven't started it.
Yes.
We're still trying to plan a lot of things because warehouse, because I'm a part of warehouse. We're still waiting for, I think, like, yeah, we're waiting for candy bars. Huh?
You have a supply chain issue?
That's true.
Products haven't come in yet.
Yeah.
Supply chain issue, yep.
So
I want to thank you guys for coming. It takes a lot to sit in here and talk to a group like us. Young lady right here, if I could take a picture of your face. I created a need. It was so cute. I reaction. But thank you guys for being here.
It's very.
I like very much.
You're not wrong, though.
Have Team Wilson, who they're gonna do a presentation, Principal Pluta and her staff. Breakdown of highlights from student, staff, and families, as well as things we're continuing to focus on for growth.
All right, so we really do only have 10 minutes. I did get some clarification. But I sent out my presentation just because there's a lot embedded within it. So I figure whatever we don't get to, you guys can still look through, and we'd appreciate any and all feedback. We're very open to that. But at Wilson, everything starts with our school improvement plan. We definitely don't have time to go through that. So here are the big points. When you look at a snapshot of Wilson, our greatest strengths, our employee and our parent caregiver engagement surveys have been a strength, you know, throughout the last couple of years, always scoring a 4 overall. And then we look at the specific strategies to improve on. Our check-in surveys are what we do with our students 3 times a year. And this is really how we measure where they're at, just because it's really quick. We do it right at the start of the year, at the middle of the year, and then the end of the year. And it's literally like in ways that the kids can understand, like do you have a person here and do you feel welcome? Do you feel like you belong? And generally the scores are a little bit lower at the beginning of the year and then they increase as the year goes on. So right now our students show that 86% have an adult connection. That actually raises up when you take out the 4 cares that might not have really understood the question. And then 89% feel like they do belong there. So that's definitely our strengths. Our areas to grow within is really our academic achievement is where we want to start really pushing a little bit harder right now. When you look at our Fastbridge fall assessments, you know, when we look at that 85% range or higher, that's where we want our students and we don't have a whole lot falling within that range. That's just Fastbridge though. So we are getting together as a staff now that all of our beginning of the year assessments are completed. And we're going to triangulate our data together and really use that to help guide within our school improvement plan. But we didn't want to just have nothing as we start the year. So we're going to grow upon that. Then when you look at us, it's really all about our families and community, our staff and our students, which again are the pillars within our strategic plan as well as our school improvement plan. So that begins with our family and community. You all probably already know Alex because she's our PTA council president. She's also our PTA president at Wilson and she does a fabulous job. Not only right now bringing the energy, but also setting us up for success as she moves on as well. We also have a dad that just started our Wildcat Park Days, and he's reaching out to our families to try to get them together to create a school community outside of school hours. We've created a PTA liaison, if you will, Mrs. Sugden, which I don't think she's here, but it's kind of our go-between our family engagement committee and our PTA, and she's a great way of connecting the two. And then you can see we have our Wilson events that are given out at the beginning of the year. Each team signs up for one of those activities and they're present for that PTA meeting as well. And finally, a lot of our community connections are coming through with our PBL work. So that's kind of how we're connected to our family and community. Again, those are all of our strengths. Also, I would argue we're right smack dab in the middle. And we are very diverse. And I think that's one of our greatest strengths within our community. And then looking at staff, this was a hard one because we have a lot within our staff, but I looked at it in kind of 3 areas. The foundation, which for us is the staff culture. And I think we have a lot of veteran staff, which I'm very proud to say all of our classroom teachers came back this year. Very high retention rate, which I think our staff is going to always make the biggest impact on students. So it's really important to me that we keep those staff members here so we can continue to grow them. And that is a huge strength of theirs. Even though it's a more veteran staff, they are all willing to grow, which is very important because if you look at the second tier there is really our processes. And our coaching cycle is a big part of that. So I linked it in here. I am known for my linkage. But this is the coaching cycles that take place. Our reading specialists are in there, our DLC, which is now me, but eventually our new DLC, and myself, we kind of do a rotation of coaching cycles to grow our staff. Another process we've developed are our committees that again directly link to our school improvement plan. And then our committees are, I think, a little bit more independent than what people may be used to. We come to our meetings with an agenda. Our teachers are actually going into our school improvement plan and reviewing it and goal setting within there. So that's one of our greatest strengths. As well as the feedback given. I think our rapid cycle feedback has definitely improved over time so that staff are actually goal setting. It's all aligned. So their SLO PPG is aligned to our school improvement plan, which is then aligned to our district strategic plan. So again, one of our strengths, but something that I think people don't talk a whole lot about are the little things. And I know this is way too small and I cannot go through them all, but I just listed since the beginning of the year, the very little things that you don't think about that when you put them all together make a huge impact. And I think that is what makes our staff and our student and our family, our school community culture a very positive thing. So you'll hopefully read through some of those. Some of them are funny, some of them are not so funny, but it's those little things that put together make a huge impact on our students. Which brings us to our students, the most important part. And I'll talk through some of our littles. And then I'll have Erickson present on what our 4th and 5th graders are rolling out this year. But student strengths, we have a ton of clubs. We have the typical orchestra, band, choir, but we also have Poms and Dance going now. We had our Lego League. We have our student leaders, which is our next one underneath there. It's a little bit smaller this time around because we really want them making decisions for our school building. So we have 5/3, 5/4, 5/5. They do a lot around our incentives, but they're also doing a lot more with our problem solving. That's something that Ms. Schwal brought to us that she had done at Longfellow, some of that work with. Here's a problem within our building. How can our students help us solve that? And then finally, the project-based learning and just how we embed our deeper learning competencies. We started the school year with a Who Are We project. So you'll see, especially up here, these are more of our littles, our 4K, 5K, and then a 4K, 5K split here. They did a lot of projects around like what makes me special, the Who Am I bag. They do bucket filler activities. So like, how can you fill your own bucket? How can you fill someone else's bucket? On those beginning of the year activities. But then I put this picture in here because I think some people think of project-based learning and they think it has to be this huge to do, when really it's just as impactful to put some of those deeper learning competencies and kind of oomph up a lesson, if you will. So this was Mrs. Sugden I saw last week, I think it was, and she did a math graph, which could have just been that. But instead she had yellow, red, and green apples, and the kids got to taste test and then give their opinion about which one they wanted or liked the best. And then we took those opinions and charted them. And then they, as a class, analyzed the data. But the kids, it was so much more different because it was their opinion, right? It was all about them and putting that on the chart. And it's just a little change, but it made a huge difference in their learning. And then I included our 1st and 2nd grade. I think it's important to note that our 1st grade last year started a garden, and they're not just gonna not do anything more with that, but they're gonna take it a step further. And now they're turning it into like a butterfly sanctuary. So it's all about the butterflies this year, but connected to that garden. They're actually following the migration. I don't know, Azalina, migration to Mexico, and they're doing pen pals with some students in Mexico, and it's kind of a whole to do. And then the 2nd graders again are doing that fashion show where they're designing the shoes that represent them. But again, they took it a little bit further. This time we're doing it in the gym. Families are invited. So if you guys want to come on Friday at 1:30, they are having their fashion show down the red carpet. So that's our 2nd grade. Our 3rd grade, I put a video in here, and this is one of the moments where I wish I would have gotten some more staff faces. But each class for the project created like a chant or a song for the class. And then at our pause program on Friday, this was the 3rd grade that was doing their cheer. Yeah, so my jaw dropped. Oh, we got a moonwalker in there. So all of us will be going over our chants and our dances, and it's just a great way for our community to come together on Friday afternoon. And then our 4th and 5th grade, Erickson, I'm gonna let you steal the thunder here. It's just about, it's something a little different. We noticed, and you'll see I put a little bridge in there, but there was a disconnect between when our students were at Wilson and then went off into the intermediate school. We've been just noticing that some of our students that we didn't really have any challenges with, we're having some challenges at that intermediate school setting. And then Erickson and some of our 4th and 5th grade teachers went over there last year during the elementary planning day. I don't know if you want to speak to a little bit about what they had shared.
Sure. So we go over on the first elementary planning day and sit through the 3 different lunch sessions and just kind of look for our kids, look for our Wilson kids. They know we're coming. So they just interact, just some time to say hello, ask them how intermediate school is going. ask them if they have any suggestions for things we should be doing with the fourth and fifth graders now to better prepare them for intermediate school. And just let them see that we want to still be connected to them, even though they've left Wilson. So,
And some of the feedback they gave was, man, they're a lot more strict here. And we thought we were pretty strict, but apparently not. And just telling us a little bit, like, it was almost like a culture shock for them, is the way that they kind of described it. Maybe didn't use those words, but essentially that was the gist of what they're sharing with us. So we thought, we have the numbers are working. We have a bigger fourth and fifth grade classrooms this year. That's just the way our numbers wiggled out. We have a lot of students with special needs, like just a huge pocket that's in our fourth and fifth grade as well. So we figured we need to come up with a way that's going to prepare our students for intermediate school, exposes them to that grade level content, but how can we break the groups up too, where we can also continue to build on those foundational skills. So we actually have our fourth and fifth grade teachers. There's 4 of them. Each of them takes a content area, and then we're kind of switching students around. And you kind of see the schedule there where it's broken down by a literacy, math, and inquiry, with literacy being the reading and writing. And then you have one person that's kind of the, I don't know what you'd call them, the expert in that content area, and the other person's supporting them. And that looks different. And it didn't look pretty at first, I would say, right?
no,
But we tell our kids that we want them to take risks, and we have to be willing to do that as a staff and looking at our system to best prepare them. So that was a risk we were willing to take. I think it's starting to pay off little by little. But it is, you have to turn in your homework or you might get a detention. You have to follow this rule or this and this and this happens. And they are starting to understand, like, oh, I do need to be responsible. That is what I'm going to need when I go up in an intermediate. So we're seeing little changes that I think, again, will have a bigger impact once they get to the intermediate school. So,
and I would say we had an information night for parents, and the parents seemed very supportive of it. Some of them, their children hadn't explained to them yet how we were doing things. So I think they were very receptive and happy about the change we've made.
So that's our fourth and fifth grade. And then the next portion, I just kind of went over areas that we know we still need to grow within. So in that family community, I really would like us to look not only just at Wilson, but as a district, how we can get some more outreach to our families before they even get to school. I just remember what it was like being a parent, and when they get those questionnaires, I'm like, oh, she's supposed to know that when she's 3. I think a lot of our families don't know what kids are supposed to know by those different age levels. And we might be having some of our students coming in a little bit lower than what we're used to because of that. And I know we just had a screener at Irving like a week ago, but I don't think it was really put out there as much as it could have been for some of our families to come. So I think that's something that we really do want to focus in on. Engaging our families in academics. They've been coming a lot more to our showcases of learning, I'd say. But we did one school, one book last year. We want to keep on doing more academic based things to get our families knowing what we're doing more within our classrooms. And then finally, communication for all. So we're really trying to make sure we have 5% of our population that are multilingual learners. So making sure that their families know what's going on in our school as well. For staff, we got to get that DLC position filled. For staffing though, with our students with special needs, that is an issue, right? We have one of our learning specialists going on maternity leave, and I don't know what date I chose, in a week.
Within the next 24 hours.
And we don't really have staffing for that special ed EA. We're still trying to staff. So I think that's just an area that we need to continue to build capacity in, and just know, I just want to be transparent that, that is something that we continue to work on. And then finally, professional development. We will continue to use our data to guide our instruction, and then just strategies and ways for our students to access that grade level content. Because I think it's really easy to say every student has to be able to do, fourth grade content. But if a student's working at a first grade level, what are we going to do as the instructional teachers in our building to make sure that they can get access to that grade level content? And we're still working through what that is, to be honest. But And then, for our students, just maintaining high expectations and a growth mindset. Because we do have some students that are further behind and they need to be resilient and they're gonna need to show that grit to stick with it so that we can continue to close that gap. So, that's kind of our areas to grow. And then how we're getting there. Our mindset, we just had a leadership last Thursday and talking about what can make the biggest impact on kids, and it's just our expectations for them. When we get our, if the third grade teacher gets all their kids in, do they actually think everyone's gonna be at that third grade level by the end of the year? And if they don't, that's a problem, right? So just making sure that we have high expectations for all of our students. Kind of mentioned again and again, strategies and scaffolds so that all students have access to that grade level content. And just using our data to prioritize where do we need to hone in on as a school. It's a lot of talking, so I apologize. Questions?
Questions from the board? Ms. Carr.
Well, I've worked with you and I've seen you work, and so I'm thrilled for our district that they have the opportunity to work with you. And I particularly a couple of things. For one thing, we're noticing, I think through the listening sessions, we're noticing that there is kind of a disconnect between the elementaries and the intermediates. And so I love that you are exploring that a little bit. And I've loved a follow-up on that. Like, how's that going? Because I think as a district, that's something that we could work on. How do we, it feels like our elementaries are set, and then when they get to that intermediate, we see some changes across the board. So really excited to hear about that. And I really appreciated what you said about project-based learning doesn't have to be hoopla. That the deeper learning competencies are weaved into everything that we do. It's always. And I love that mindset. And I hope that, that we'll spread that around.
Well, that's why I like the rapid cycle feedback too, because you're in classrooms all the time and it's almost like, hey, did you know you're actually doing deeper learning competencies? Like you are naturally embedding that within your instruction. So sometimes it's just pointing them out that they're taking place.
Yeah.
Other questions? Comments?
I just wanted to I wanted to agree with Jane. I really like what you're doing with the 4th, 5th grade schedule. I was a kid that went to, I was a little bit older, but they did the same thing when I went to a private grade school. So 7th and 8th grade was very reflective of what high school would look like. So we switched classrooms for, certain teachers taught, like you would see in high school. So one teacher taught this class and this and that. And so I really like that, because I think that is, we're looking at, especially like you were saying through the listening and learning sessions, about where are our gaps. And this is, I think, is a good opportunity to fill one of those gaps. So that's all.
Mr. Marks.
Yeah. I really appreciate you guys calling out how much you do with the community work and your PTA and everything you have tied together. We were at Wilson for a while, and as many people know, but we're at Hoover now, and you can see the difference between an established community versus one that's building. And so all the work that you guys do with that, I think, is really pays dividends to be able to help the kids make adjustments and buy into things along with families as well. And I guess the question that I would have for you guys is the success that you've had with this. Are we doing anything with the other schools to help get them to be able to find similar success in building that community structures? And I say this just simply, even with the PTA, there's more things that go on at Wilson for PTA than like all of the other elementaries out there. And so are we doing anything to help get them on board to be able to help build the community as a whole, as the district? And is there anything we could do?
Yeah. I mean, I think our PTA still does struggle with the same thing that I've noticed many do, where it's, a few doing a lot and it's trying to spread that wealth out. So I really appreciate Alex because she's like, well, I'm not gonna be here forever. Kind of setting us up because a lot of it is her energy right now. I mean, honestly, but you're right, like, how can we continue that momentum going across our district I don't know that I have the answer to that, to be honest. Yeah.
There was a comment that came out, I believe at Hoover the other night, where the parent said, it just feels like our schools are still in COVID. Kind of where how they feel like we haven't opened up and allowed them to come back. And so whether that's true or not, if that's the belief of some, maybe that's a connection as to why they're not as involved. And so we are working actively behind the scenes to kind of roll something out with the district to kind of open our doors up a bit and just really create a VIP feeling with parents. And I don't want to give too much away, but we are working on an active program to increase volunteerism in our schools. Great.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No.
No, it's
But
fine.
Wilson has been known to have quite the community for a while, and so it's just being able to branch that out, I think would be really fantastic. I mean, we love Hoover, but it's a different sense, and I really love the Wilson.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I guess just an observation, on the, sorry. I thought you were done.
Sorry, you had something to say. Did you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, I appreciate that you pointed out the challenges from going to middle school. Because I've been looking at test scores too. I'm wondering, like, are the tests changing, or my kids, is there something that happened between 5th grade and 6th grade? And yeah, so it's something I'm trying to figure out myself. So it's reassuring to know that it's not just our house.
No. I had the pleasure of shifting from elementary to middle school in the same year. And when I tell you, it took me about a year to stop saying these kids didn't act like this in 5th grade. Like there is this change that happens socially with students. And in elementary, we kind of baby them a bit, right? We shelter them. And then when they get to intermediate and middle level, the shelter is gone, and they tend to just kind of go with the flow. And so that there is a sense to kind of wrap our arms around them a bit and create, instead of making it stricter, just make it more of a loving and caring environment like the elementary campuses do. So it's just it's a struggle. I mean, it is a struggle because at that age they are resistant to hey, I have to convince my 12-year-old to love me sometimes. I get it. I mean, they're very they're changing. They really are changing. I mean, I think that's the best way to capture it.
So the one thing that is interesting about the process of looking at 4th and 5th, and specifically 5th, is if you can make that closer to what an intermediate experience would be within the confines of an elementary school, then when that support is needed for that change, support's still there because you still have the staffing and the people that they know because they've been there for, our hope. That's their 7th year, that's their 7th year there. And they know the staff, they know the teachers, they know the administrators. And so when they're trying to move from one place to the next, they're going from reading to math to whatever the other subjects are, it's not new to them. Now, granted, it's a new building and all that sort of stuff. And there's other things that we can do by taking, having 5th grade to come and visit the intermediate school they're going to be at the next year so they can get a lay of the building and that sort of stuff. There's some of that we do right now, but I think that kind of, because when you're in a process for that many years and then it's suddenly completely different from that process, I can understand that some kids probably struggle with it more than others. And so having a kind of not a boot camp per se, but it's a primer to what you're going to be moving into next. And whether that's the whole 5th grade year or half 5th grade year so that you can get used to that process, I think that might be a good thing to do and something that maybe should be replicated in all of our elementary schools so that our intermediate students coming in, our 6th graders coming in are hopefully, at least with that piece of it, more familiar and able to transition easier into a new building with people they haven't seen for a while, maybe some they've never seen, all new teachers, all new administrators. That's a lot of change all at once on top of just the regular, I have to go from here to here to here to here to here. Oh geez, that's a lot. But if you've done that already in fifth grade, that might make it a little bit easier for that.
So
So
we'll
that's
let you
interesting.
know at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It is, I would argue, gotten significantly just watching them get used to the routine and the procedures and, but those little things that you don't like, oh, if I forget my work in this class, I can't go back and get it, right? Like I'm just stuck, that is what they're learning right now.
Teaching, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't walk in, so.
Yeah, it's a big thing
Keeping
when you're
their
used to having all your stuff in one room all the time. And I don't have to worry about it. It's all right there.
So we have our bin lockers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they do
talk
that
about
in the hallway.
organization, They talk about, we also talk a lot about being able to advocate for yourself. So if you need help with something, being able to speak out, because we did hear that from middle schoolers who said, well, they don't help me. Nobody helped. Well, no, are you asking?
Right.
Probably not.
Exactly. I think that's great. So I'm definitely interested to see how that continues on. If you see any road bumps that you come across as we move through this, but I think that could be a good thing to help the transition because we know transitions are hard in general. And so anything that we can do to try to soften that blow as we move through those different spaces, I think that'd be a good thing. It's even for intermediate and high school, you're changing classes, but you're kind of used to that. I mean, it's a new building and a few of other issues there, but elementary and intermediate, I think is probably the bigger of the jumps to make when it comes to what they have to do from what they are used to doing for so many years in a row. Anything else? Mr. Sikich? He said you did a great job. All right, well, thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry we didn't have children. I know.
It's all right.
Thank you.
This is a good discussion, I think, so
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of your night. Before we break for that, I'll just get us into that and we'll do a roll call for that and then we can, it'll be a different. So I look for a motion, a second to convene an executive session in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, to deliberate regarding the district's transportation contract and bid process. The deliberations require executive session due to and based upon competitive and bargaining considerations. To wit, they will directly and substantially affect the district's negotiations with one or more third parties.
So move.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Steele,
Yes.
Mr. Sikich is on.
While we get set up for closed session.